Hi, so this is video number 5, which is all about site visibility. So a lot of people think you put your blog post up and Google comes and finds it. What a lot of people don't realise is it could be months before Google actually finds that page. So an important bit of digital marketing is to submit what's called your sitemaps and your URLs ideally every day. So a lot of people, they set them up and then they leave them, and quite often I come across even big websites where basically they've got sitemaps that are 3 or 4 years out of date and they haven't been updated. So it's really an important part of digital marketing that as soon as you post something new or you're changing a page, then obviously you want those snippets, those adverts to the world to be seen as quickly as possible. So there's a couple of things we need to do. So first thing we can do is we make sure that we've got some robot text. So here you can put in your domain name and at the end of it put /, then put robots.txt, and this will basically show you a block. If this doesn't come up, then you do need to sort out some robot text, because this is what tells the search engine's crawler when it comes to your website what to do. And one of the things you should definitely have in there is your site location of your sitemaps. Okay, so how you would find your sitemaps is here on I'm using WordPress and I'm using Yoast. So that will automatically build a sitemap for you. One of the easiest things to do in WordPress is if you go onto the actual dashboard itself, is if you use a plugin on WordPress called SiteKit. What this will do is it will connect all the main services of Google for you, so that you don't need a technical person to do that for you. Obviously this site is offline, so there's no data in there at the moment. But what you can actually start to do is if you go to the settings, he says, why is this so slow? But basically this will set up your Google Search Console, it will set up your Google Analytics, your GA4, and it will also connect to your, what's the last one? Oh, you can set the AdWords in there as well, I believe. But all you do is basically follow the instructions, and all the data will come from the console into here, in from GA4. Oh, and the last one is the Tag Manager, sorry. So that's one of the easiest ways to do that. So the other thing we can do is if we're looking for our sitemap, if you're on Yoast, then the sitemap is going to be / your website / sitemap _ index.xml. Now I know a lot of people do HTML sitemaps. Ideally it should have XML on the end and not HTML, and some people actually in their footers put this is where the sitemap is, but the sitemap is actually supposed to be for the robots and not for a list of all your pages on your website to help people find pages quicker. So I do see that sometimes. It's mainly we need an XML sitemap. So what we can actually do is if we go to the website, so let's go back to the website. I don't know why my internet is really slow all of a sudden. If we just go to a blank space on the site, what we can do is right click and view page source. And so in here we can then search robot text. You can see here's my snippet that's added by sitemap. So this is probably going to prove for Google Tag Manager, etc. You can see the robots here. Yeah, so it's telling you what the robots are going to do. Here you can see my page title that I've named this page, and here you can see my meta description. It's a good way, if you're struggling to find any of those things, you can just right click, even at the top, if you go to you edit, you can then find and just type in what you're looking for. So you might say image whatever, or meta for metadata, or whatever that might be. So you must have your robot text, and you must ideally have a sitemap. So the sitemap is designed in a way that you'll see here we've got posts. So within this post sitemap, you've actually got all of your posts. So I believe you can click on it and it will actually start to show you the different sitemaps within the actual main structure of the sitemap, if that makes sense. So here are all the pages, the topics, category headings, everything is separated. And here you can see the last day it was modified. Yeah, and so ideally we're looking for when the search engine was last found that page. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this, and ideally you need to set up a Google Search Console. And when you set the console up, either through Sitemap or through SiteKit, if you're on WordPress, which is the easiest, or you have access to the Google Search Console by adding code, you probably need somebody to help you with that. Left hand side, if you go to Sitemaps, you can see here the all I would do is simply put in URL and I would submit, and that would drop down to here. I'm not going to do it now because the site is not live, so I'm waiting at the moment, but here it will give you a submission, when it was last read, all that type of thing. So you can use the console, and obviously if you're using SiteKit, all that data will go into your website, so you can find all this on there. The next thing we can do is the same but on Bing. So all we do is just sign in, and we can sign in with our Gmail account. So what I'm going to do is, you can see I've got quite a few accounts there, and what we're going to do is we're just going to sign in. Okay, and again it's very similar to Google. And on the left hand side here you can see where it says Sitemaps. Okay, and you can see that this has automatically picked these sitemaps up. Yeah, so you can see where the site was live previously. So you can see here when it was last crawled. So it shouldn't be getting crawled at all really at the moment, but this is more automatic. Now the thing with Google Search Console is when you're submitting individual URLs, you can put the individual URL up here to submit the individual URL. Or you can go to the URL inspector on the left hand side, which will basically give you the same option. So let's just click on that. In here you put in your URL, so it might be the services page, whatever it is, and you can submit individual pages. And you can do the same on Bing, Webmaster Tools. So you can go to URL Inspector and put in your URLs separately in there. The only problem with this is you can only do 10 a day on Google, and it does take quite a while for it to run through the system. So that's time you can probably better spend time doing something else. And like I say, if you've got 5,000 pages on your website, submitting 10 a day is just not going to happen really. The better solution is probably I believe you could at one stage you could index them all quite quickly, but they've got this index now. So here's a little video where you can try and upload your URLs in bulk automatically. So that's an option. The service I tend to use that we've sort of set up, if you like, is on Digital Groundworks, which is basically the site visibility service. Tells you there how to find your sitemaps, etc. It's a little video, tells you the benefits of it. So the reason we need to submit our sitemaps is, you remember these snippets, these adverts to the world in the search engine results page. You can imagine, number one, if you do a new bit of content, it could be months before Google finds you. The second problem you've got is, if, for example, you're not submitting your sitemaps, other companies are submitting their sitemaps, they're going on top of you, which are pushing your snippets, your adverts to the world, pushing them down further. So the idea of submitting sitemaps every single day is you're pushing those back up to the top. And the other interesting thing is, I've sort of worked out that only about 20% of your pages are naturally indexed. So what you usually find is, when you start indexing your pages, especially on an e-commerce site where you've got loads and loads of products, what quite often you find is a massive spike where it's suddenly found these other pages. So if you've got an e-commerce site, definitely the visibility service is definitely something you ought to consider. Like I say, it is a bit of a pain submitting them every day, which is why we've set up this service, and obviously it checks for broken links, etc. So that is basically site visibility, what it's all about, why you need to do it. If you've got any questions on that, please let me know. Thank you.